Get it started. All right, guys. TikTok, 7 o'clock on a Wednesday evening. That means it's time for Track Talk. Track Talk is brought to you by the Wolfpack and Lone Wolf Racing, but it's powered by W Energy Drink. Check out W Energy on the Google machine, and with your order, use my code Lone Wolf 47 for your discount. All right, guys. So, a couple things to discuss today. Don't know how long a show it'll be, but a couple things to discuss. As advertised, we will talk about the Class 11 Rallycross class for Wolfpack Racing's spring fiestas going into 2026. And who knows what else. But I wanted to start out, I've been seeing some things posted recently, and color me disappointed. But man, some of the tracks that are being put out there for bigger events, not necessarily oval, obviously, because oval is oval. You kind of can't do it any differently, other than maybe dimensions and lane width. But for some off-road things, wow. Talk about unimaginative and bland. I was thinking about getting back into some off-road, and for the winter, I decided not to, and then focus on some other things that I am getting into lately and finding interesting and so forth, and then wait till spring for some more racing. But as I look around and see some of these things, it's just like it's so. I guess in the age of these block games, like what's that stupid game called that the kids play? But it's just go this way, go that way, go this way, go that way, loop around, do it again. Wow. No imagination, no creativity, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that would make anyone go, wow, that's a great setup. And it's sad because back in the day, or even hell, 15, 20 years ago, guys would put effort into these things, and guys would plan and make corners that were actual corners. Actual curved lines, not just a squared off space with a T in the middle. Guys would plan jumps and doubles, triples, rhythm sections, and so forth. Not just here's a bump, there's a bump, and throw this in the middle. Now, some of the bigger races that have been going on recently, yeah, some great setups. Obviously, in some bigger environments to where you can put together a really great setup. I'd be horribly disgusted if they couldn't do that with these bigger venues. But even still, some of the local tracks, some of the regional tracks used to put out way better and just can't, or won't anymore. So I just thought I'd bring that up as a talking point because it's just something that's been bugging me as I see more and more of it happen. Everything is just so bland and routine in something in a form of racing off-road, whether it's dirt or carpet or whatever. That shouldn't be bland and routine. People shouldn't be able to go to a track no matter what they've done to change the setup since last time and feel like it's the same. And essentially, guys, it kind of is. I mean, it's like I said, it's all that bland, throw a pipe here, throw a pipe there, round off at the top and then go back and do it all again kind of stuff. And it's the lack of creativity that has been shown in that, um, on local levels. I mean, again, a regional, countrywide, whatever I've seen, um, it's, I don't know. I just, to be honest, not that I'm great at the off road thing. I'm okay ish, kind of, maybe. But I'm so glad I'm not, running those again, because it's just, quite honestly, the tracks are boring. So, and that's coming from an oval guy. All we do is turn left, go straight, turn left, go straight again. So that should say a lot. But one thing you won't find is boring when we present the Rallycross come spring, because I have a tendency to change tracks up, layouts, for things of that nature, weekly, if not, a little less frequent, but way more frequently than other places typically would or do. Yeah, cookie cutter tracks, right. I mean, you can go to 10 different places and see the same track over and over again. So, just nothing, no whimsy to it, no, ooh, that's a cool feature, nothing like that. Just plain old blah. But as we speak about the Rallycross stuff, one of the things that I will try my best to do for the Wolfpack and the guys that race with us is to create tracks that are not necessarily cookie cutter, have some features and do some things. Within that, I mean, there are other limitations that we face as a club versus as a business. But again, if we can do stuff like that on a club level, businesses should be putting a little more pride into what they present. So anyway, let's get into Class 11, guys. We've been, over the past few weeks, we have introduced a couple of classes. One was the Tamiya two-wheel drive buggy class for the Rallycross events. That's going to be a fun class. We've also introduced the TTO2 class for the Rallycross stuff. That'll be a fun class. Now, not to stick with Tamiya solely, because there'll be a couple other ones that as we get moving and introducing more, you'll see we're not just sticking to the one company. But with these classes, like the TTO2 class, like the Class 11 that I'm about to introduce, these are the more budget-friendly classes. These are the classes where, beginners or newer drivers can get into something for not as much money as some of the other brands and or classes, but still enjoy themselves and have a lot of fun. Now tonight at 8, the rule set will hit the Facebook page over at Wolfpack Racers Den for the Class 11, but I can quite simply tell you the only thing you can do that's not in the box is put bearings in instead of the bushings that are in the box. Everything else is box stock. What that makes, guys, is for a nice, easy class. Number one, for those beginners or newer guys to get into a kit for the first time, because newer guys are usually more used to the RTR stuff. Get into a kit and have to build it. Now, there are different ways to build this chassis, and those are, it's explained in the rules which version to build, and you're going to build the long version, so we're all playing with the same chassis on the racetrack, excuse me. You can do a little bit of height work with the way you put your suspension together. That's open to your interpretations. And, the tires, we're going to use what comes in the kit. We're going to use the body that comes in the kit with no alterations. We're going to use everything that's in there other than, again, you want to put bearings in instead of the bushings. The motor and the ESC are typically provided in this kit. So you shouldn't have to worry about what electronics to put in other than your servo of choice. The only reason you can put a servo of choice in is because the kit does not come with a servo. So your steering needs is up to your, is at your disposal. So without further ado, the Tamiya Rally Beetle is what we're going to be using for the Class 11. We cannot use the Escort or the other couple of models that come on the MF-01X chassis. We're all going to be able to use, only able to use the Volkswagen Beetle. And the reason for that, if you are a Nitro Cross or Nitro Rallycross fan, is simple. That's what they do. We're trying to emulate the 1.1 version down to a radio controlled car level and, you know, imitate that style. So with that, they do use the Volkswagen Beetles. They are, you know, subject to rules that make them all equivalent as well. And we will have a format very similar to the way they race. So if you are curious about it, haven't seen it before, highly recommend you guys YouTube the Nitro Rallycross Class 11. Fun to watch, and it's going to be even more fun to drive. And this is going to be one of those classes, guys, that is all about the fun. Again, for newer drivers, new drivers, it gives an entry-level feel to a vehicle that is quite entry-level, quite honestly. There's no way to be beaten by someone who put a lot of hop-ups in because it's not allowed. So it's really a true spec class in that every car will be almost identical other than a servo and bearings and paint job. Be creative with your paint jobs, you know, check out those videos of the Class 11 Nitro X and, you know, see what they do. You want to add lights, you know what I mean? You know, that would be the only body manipulation that you could do is to put holes in it for lights. We're not taking off the fenders to, you know, lighten the load or create a look. We're not going to be able to do that. So let me show you mine first while I'm itching to grab onto it over here, and then we'll talk about it more. So this is it. This is the MF-01X Tamiya Rally Beetle. There's the chassis there. It's going to be very different for some of you that have been racing for a little while to grab a hold of one of these and build, because that chassis is going to be unlike anything you guys have seen before. So take your time with it, and again, enjoy it, because number one, it's a really, really fun build. It can be a pain in the butt if you don't follow the directions, but it's a fun build. There's not a ton to it as far as that goes. But, you know, you kind of, in building, what I used to always tell the guys when we first started back in the day with the Hit Squad is, you know, getting into the TTO2 classes, building a car will give you a lot better understanding of your car. So, thanks, Louie. In building this car, you'll get a little better feel for what it is and what it can do, what it can't do, excuse me. I'll kill you. It's got a very tiny wheelbase compared to, you know, like a Traxxas Slash, for instance, that some of the guys are used to racing on oval. Both front to back and side to side, that wheelbase is tiny. The 200, 210 millimeter type of area for the bodies, and I think right around there. And then the wheelbase might be 10 or 11 inches. I don't even remember. It's small. So with that, coupled with the very soft and bouncy stock suspension, can you stop it? Yes, I just threw my cat on the bed. It makes for some fun driving, but it does create some problems for a driver if they're not careful, like being a little bit top heavy, believe it or not, and flipping side to side when cornering, because 1 second. Get out. Because of that small wheelbase. So, and also the tires are tiny. Let's see. What do I have here that's a average size? All right. This is a glue stick. We've all seen them. This is a glue stick next to the tire. So, tiny, tiny little tires, and but a lot of fun to drive. And again, this is a class that's going to be a ton of fun for guys getting into the hobby, a ton of fun for guys that have experience with other chassis and wheelbases, but not necessarily something like this. And it's true spec. It's what comes in the box. It's going to be a challenge for drivers, like experienced drivers. You guys will have some fun trying to keep up with what this car can and can't do. And builders, honestly, though there's not much that can be done to the build, you have things to be greased and lubricated or whatnot that you're putting together. How much lube do you use? How little lube do you use? When do you not use, even though the directions say to use? So this class will really challenge those guys that are into building as well. This will all be run on dirt with some natural bumps as well as some wooden ramps. So when you're all said and done, you want your car to be able to handle both of those terrains and, get it done. Class 11, again, if you haven't watched the Nitro Rallycross stuff, please do. You can even write in your search on YouTube, Nitro Rallycross Class 11 or Class 11 Volkswagens, or you'll see what I'm talking about when you see it. Whole ton of fun. A lot of guys get into it on the 1-1 level as well. There are places around that you can run regionally and as well as countrywide without being on the Nitro Rallycross circuit. You can run in that class. Not that I'm saying that anybody should, would, or is going to. I'm just saying that it is a very, very fun and economical class no matter what level we're on. So there's that. Then there is the last of the topics I want to touch on tonight, and that is a few of us, if not several, are going to be up in Vermont this coming weekend at Slade Valley Racing for the Poor Boys race up there. And, again, it comes to one of those things that last time we talked about going to a different track, it was because, it was because Suds and Phil were going to Bethel for the first time, and I had been there, so I was, able to help them out with what to prepare for and whatever. None of us have been to this one, so it does bear mentioning once again that, do your due diligence and know the rule sets. The last thing we want to do is travel 2.5 hours and find out that we don't qualify for a class because we didn't read the rules. And that's why, even like I said with the Class 11 or whatever, that's why I'm making it so important by not only posting it on the Facebook page, but by talking about each class here on Track Talk, because, again, people need to get that information so that they can run the appropriate setups for these classes that they're interested in running. Excuse me. So, each of us have looked, some of us have discussed, yeah, I'm a poor boy too, but then again, it's because of this hobby. So, now Poor Boys is another club type of organization, and they're hosting that race at Slade Valley, which I think is phenomenal for the two to be working together in the first place. So, but yeah, doing that footwork and looking things up before you leave and knowing what class you're going to enter before you even get there, and or classes, it's highly recommended. That way you know exactly what you're doing, what you're up against, and what you need to set up for. So, for instance, going down to Bethel, we know that, it's an outdoor clay track. It's covered when it's not in use. It's kept moist. Um, so we have the formation of a blue groove throughout the night. As it cools off, it gets a little slicker. Um, different aspects like that happen with these tracks. You know that going to Bethel, you're going to be in the small block. You're running either a brush motor or the BL2S motor, and you have fixed gearing requirements for that. So again, knowing all those things on the way in is a big deal, especially with a race that's a little bigger. I think there's over 100 expected already this coming weekend at the track. Or if you look at something like this past weekend's, was it this past weekend? Yeah, or maybe the weekend before, on November 1st, the Empire State Nationals over at Full Throttle. Ton of guys, ton of cars, and a lot of time invested in being at the track. You want to know that you're going and you're able to participate. So do that. Pack your toolbox, or if you're going to pack light, make sure you pack the appropriate things. Make sure you pack caster blocks. Make sure you pack a set of front arms, maybe a set of rear arms. Those typically don't go, but then, it's only a set of arms, so throw them in there too. You want some screws and nuts and bolts just in case. You want some some duct tape. You want some Velcro. You want all these little things that you may run into needing. Do you want to bother bringing a soldering iron or not? Some people do, some people don't. Your batteries, your battery charger, your voltage tester. Because again, some of these places will tech your cars, and if they're going to tech cars, you want to know before you put your car down on the table that you're going to pass tech. A voltage tester will be key for the battery. Excuse me. Got the hiccups. You want to get your tires and your suspension set up right. You want to know what you can and can't use as far as traction tonics, if they're allowed, if they're not. I mean, there are places that only allow what they sell. But, that's a whole different story. And again, for some of you, these things, as you go into different tracks and you're growing in the hobby, you have, partnerships with or sponsorships from different companies and different product lines where you have to fit the mold, like a traction tonic. I know that I was with Papa Willie's. Papa Willie's is sponsoring, or one of the sponsors for this event. I'll be running my awesome sauce from Scuff Racing. So, again, these are the different things you want to know you can and can't do. So as you get used to it, and the more you get into whether it's traveling locally to different tracks, or if it's traveling regionally, or even bigger than that, for some of you, know what you're up against before you leave. That way you have everything you need. So that's it for tonight as far as everything I wanted to talk about. I'm looking forward to this race this weekend. It's been a little bit since I've raced, so yeah, I'm hoping I'm not too rusty, but either way, it's going to be a blast. Go check out a new track, meet some new faces, and have fun with the boys, regardless of the outcome. So that's going to be a good time. So as always, what I'll do is I'll open it up now to questions, comments, concerns, critiques, and otherwise in the chat whilst I finish this Pepsi in front of me, and then we'll make it happen. Cheers. Lastly, before I end the show, guys, on a more somber note, this past week we lost a friend of mine, a friend to a lot of guys, Steve Duskany. And though in the crawler world, and I know this is a racing show, it's the hobby community. And keep his family, his son Kyle, and the rest of his family in your thoughts and prayers. Stevie was a great guy, and this came on a little more suddenly than should have been or could have been expected. So, it's something I wanted to mention tonight, and it's one of those things, guys. Again, the hobby community as a whole lost a great guy, and so it'd be great if you'd all keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Mike, time to shake off the cobwebs. Got to find a Denny's. Oh, we'll find something to hit on the way home. Trust me. And yes, we got to shake off some cobwebs. I know you've raced at least one more time than I have since we shut down the Bird and went to Bethel the last time. So, but yeah, I think it's riding a bike. We'll get up there early enough to get some practice in, learn the track a little bit, the surface, and then get to racing. So that'll be that. We'll have some more to talk about from that race this coming weekend, next week on the show. And until then, get those Class 11s built, boys and girls. I'm the Hitman. I'm out.